Would you choose a 2,000-volt shock of electricity? Maybe an IV in each arm. How about several deep breaths of cyanide gas? These three things are currently the most popular forms of execution in the United States. From lethal injection to hanging, the death penalty is one of the most controversial subjects today. No matter what your stance on the subject, or which side you agree with, knowing the methods of execution and their processes may help you argue your point of view. The most widely used method of execution is lethal injection. While all 38 states have lethal injection as the primary means of execution, it is used in only 33 of the 38 states with the death penalty. 1,283 prisoners have been executed by this means in the United States. The condemned is usually strapped to a gurney with heart monitors attached to their body. Needles are then inserted into usable veins, usually in the arms, and long tubes connect the needles to intravenous drips. At the warden's command, the inmate is injected with sodium thiopental, an anesthetic used to put the inmate to sleep. Following the anesthetic is Pavilon, which paralyzes the entire muscular system and stops the breathing. Finally, the flow of potassium chloride stops the heart. Death occurs from respiratory and cardiac arrest. The second most widely used method of execution is electrocution. An option in 9 out of the 38 states, 159 prisoners have been executed by electrocution since 1976. The inmate's head and calf of one leg are shaved, and then they are strapped into a chair at the waist and arms. A metal skull cap electrode is attached to the scalp, along with a saline moistened sponge. An additional electrode is attached to the prisoner's leg. At the warden's signal, the electrocutioner pulls the handle for the power supply. A jolt of between 500 and 2,000 volts of electricity, which lasts for about 30 seconds, is given. After the surge, the inmate is then checked for signs of life. If the physician finds any, another jolt of electricity is given until the prisoner is dead. The least common used method of execution is the gas chamber. 6 of the 38 states that continue to hold this method of execution, 11 inmates have been put to death by this method since 1976. The condemned is secured into a seat inside an airtight gas chamber. A stethoscope is typically affixed so that the doctor outside the chamber can pronounce death. Once the execution team has left the room is sealed. An executioner, upon signal from the warden, pulls a lever releasing sodium cyanide into a pail of sulfuric acid, which is placed beneath the chair. This creates a chemical reaction that releases hydrogen cyanide gas into the chamber. Prisoners are then instructed to breathe deeply to hasten the process. Post-mortem, an exhaust fan sucks the poisoned air out of the room, and the body is sprayed with ammonia to neutralize any remaining traces of cyanide. In conclusion, there are 3 main methods of execution in the United States. Lethal injection, which uses chemicals to render the inmate unconscious before ultimately causing respiratory and cardiac arrest. Electrocution, which uses high voltage electricity to increase internal temperature, causing multi-organ failure and tissue damage. And the gas chamber, which uses a chemical reaction to cause suffocation and ultimately death. Although there are 3 main methods of execution in the United States, 3 states still offer the option of execution by hanging, and 3 states by firing squad. While these may seem like antiquated methods of execution, death row inmates from around the country have been known to request these above all others. So now knowing the choices and the processes, what would you choose?